You want to be married for 50 years and you've never taken any class on the subject. Not very realistic, but this is the expectation that we go into. I figure out a way to translate all of the human psychological conundrum into something I understood, which was math.
I'm just curious how you utilize math in these relationships.
Human behavior follows an equation. It comes down to these three things that will determine what your behavioral response is going to be.
I need to understand to show affection.
If you don't understand how their brain computes information, then you can't communicate to them.
Welcome to the show, Andre.
Thank you so much, Curtis. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, and now it's my pleasure to kind of have you on the show. I mean, to look at you say, hey, man, this guy is just the guy. But when we talk to you and when the audience learn a little bit about your journey, they're going to find that you are just not a guy, just like your title and in your website, AwesomeU. You're an awesome guy. So kind of share with the audience a little bit about your journey, Andre.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My experience growing up, I did not feel awesome at all. I am on the spectrum. I'm autistic. So I was severely handicapped in my ability to just read social cues, to understand people, to communicate or understand what people meant, because there's so much subtext that you take for granted. You understand it. I didn't. And it would fly me by. And that ended up costing me a lot of opportunities, a lot of relationships, things that I didn't know why I was being shunned or why opportunities were passing me by, why other people would always get picked over me. And it bothered me. I felt alone because all the girls wanted all the other guys but never me, and that frustrated me. So I leveraged my autism, because one of the things, I'm sure you'll know this, Curtis, one of the common traits in people on the spectrum is we have this ability to obsess about something.
Yes.
So I took my handicap, I turned that into my superpower. Let me obsess about psychology. Let me obsess about learning people, social cues, relationships, communication, and all of the nuance of emotion, what is happening with people.
Wow. I mean, you think about it, like you took this handicap, what you call a handicap, and made it a superpower. And I think one of the reasons for that, though, is because you mentioned the pain that you were experiencing in trying to just communicate in day to day. I know I have a nephew who's on the spectrum, and he's a phenomenal engineer in sound, but when it comes to just working with people, he just don't have it. So what did you do? I mean, your obsession to kind of move past that.
Well, first and foremost, I accepted what my limitation was, and instead of trying to work on that, I figured ways of working around that. So, for instance, social cues, I do not understand, I can't even. But what I can is I can do math. That was my obsession, was instead of learning psychology, instead of learning emotion, let me learn math. And let me turn my math skills into understanding people, emotions, relationships, communication, because all that's happening in communication is we're exchanging math. There's math in linguistics, there's math in the emotions, the psychology, thoughts. Thoughts, for instance, they abide by the Newtonian laws of physics. Just an interesting tidbit. But there's going to be like all of these fundamentals. If you have, for instance, there's going to be momentum to your thoughts. And if you have some level of momentum in a specific level of thinking, it's going to be that much harder to stop it. Kind of like, this is Newton's second principle of motion. The action-reaction that we have, you say something, I'm going to feel an equal and opposite response. Like there's going to be an immediate, that's Newton's third law. So all of this stuff is happening internally, emotionally, and psychologically. And all I did was figure out a way to translate all of the human psychological conundrum into something that I could understood, which was math.
Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview. Wow. I mean, and that's interesting because I know when my wife went back to college, she was not good in math, but she was good in English. And
Yeah.
then one of her teachers told her, you know, math is like it's a language. And so she's like, huh? It's a language. So if I can learn English as a language, I can learn math as a language. And then once she learned math as a language, she flourished, A's
Yeah.
all the way through. So what you did was the opposite,
Exactly. We did the same thing in reverse. Yes.
which is powerful. So now how do you like, you know, come to the point now use this in relationships? Because I'm curious, man. I want to get right to it. I mean, how do you use this in relationships? Because you know I am a mindset coach, and I use neurolinguistic programming. I use which is the NLP, and I use a lot of other modalities like hypnotherapy and all this stuff. But I'm just curious how you utilize math in these relationships.
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental of it is for any structure that we're looking to solve, we need to understand like what are the parameters. First and foremost, we need to find the parameters, find the variables, so that we have a specific formula that we can solve for. I know that if I speak math too long, people get lost and bored. So to translate, to give like more tangible examples, let's say human behavior. Human
Right. Okay.
behavior follows an equation. So every single behavior that you've ever had comes down to these three things. It comes down to this variable of your personality, your emotional state, and the beliefs that you have. And
Okay.
so, based off of these three things, if you just add these three things based off of where you are at that specific moment, that it will determine what your what your behavioral response is going to be. And this is something, for instance, in relationships, something that I deal with all the time is, oh, my wife says that she loves me, but she's not in love with me.
Okay.
Okay, so now we assume, because this is what she said, now we
Right.
assume that she's, there's nothing to do. Love is gone, move on, I guess. Not even remotely, because we need to
Right.
break down first and foremost, what does that mean? Let's look at the equation. First and foremost, what is her personality style? This is something that we will need to understand how we translate everything. A good example of this, do you have pets like cats, dogs?
Beg your pardon?
Do you have a pet like a cat or a dog?
No, just only in my mind.
So this is for all of the cat owners and all of the dog owners, you'll appreciate this. Cats and dogs, they have this thing that they will do. When they really trust you, they demonstrate that by showing you their belly.
Okay.
Cats and dogs will do this. But a dog will do that saying, I trust you so much, touch me here.
Right.
A cat will do that, I trust you so much not to touch me here. And if you do, you're screwed.
So basically, what you're saying is that because of the personality of the dog and the personality of the cat, I need to understand that
Exactly.
personality in order for me to show them affection.
If you don't understand how their brain computes information,
Right.
then you can't communicate to them, or you're always going to miss. Oh, my cat is showing me its belly. Let me scratch it. No, you idiot, you completely screwed up our relationship now. But
Right.
you wouldn't know that unless you understand cats do this for a different reason than dogs. And the
Okay.
exact same thing is going to happen with people. So if I'm interacting with you, I need to know at a minimum, like a base level, what your kind of personality is, so that I can connect with you, so that I can understand you, and so that I can, to a level, either predict your responses or be able to filter and understand what you mean when you say them.
Right.
Some people are going to say really mean things, and they're not
Yeah.
being mean. They're just, to them, they're being helpful. They're being factual.
Right.
They
Oh, I know. No,
understand.
I know. I've had people who say like, "Well, that's just me." Okay,
Oh,
that's just
yeah.
you. But you know, that's just the way I do it. Well, okay, I understand that, but that means that's not the best way to do it. So now
Yeah.
you're talking about the personality and understanding that. So what was the second point after the personality? What's the other part of that equation?
The second one was the beliefs that they have. So that example that you pointed out is a great one, because that whole, oh, this is just me, this is how I do things, this is how I talk, that's coming across as like, that's a very proud person. So that's not just a personality issue, this is a belief issue. This person feels like they need to prove themselves. And so they're going to carry this, and this is going to undermine or influence their behavior, their communication, their interactions with everyone because it's filtering. Everything that happens to them is coming
Yes.
through this filter, and it's going to be distorted in a particular way that they
Yes.
will then have to respond again in a particular way that may not be helpful or useful.
Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview. Yes, yes. So basically, as soon as you said that, I'm thinking about the neurolinguistic programming communication model. I mean, you got events coming in. It's going to be generalized, distorted, or deleted based on that person's personality style or their person's belief system, which now is going to come out. Their perception of the world. One of the things I teach is that your perception of the world is your perception. It's only a model. It's not the true perception, because through your eyes and my eyes, we're going to see two different things. So this is really good. I'm excited, man. Keep going.
Yeah, because on that point, like, your beliefs are the things that are going to determine how that information gets filtered. If, for instance, picking up on the political status of, there's so much news currently and over the past year since the election and everything, there was very polarized news, like Trump good, Trump bad.
Right.
And depending on what you already believed, you would either, oh, this one's nonsense, this one's true, or this one's nonsense, this one's true. So did it even matter what the information was that you were coming across, or was that just you already decided beforehand, a priori, what you were going to believe? So
that's true.
This is the challenge in changing someone's mind. And when someone is psychologically entrenched in something like a divorce, it's very hard for people to convince them, oh no, give us another shot. Yeah. It's very hard because there is a set of beliefs that they have about you, about themselves, and about the relationship that are going to distort, filter out everything that you're doing positive goes out the window. Everything that you do that is negative, oh, you see, I told you. I knew that was going to happen.
Well, basically, it's like in the dating stage. In the dating stage, we only see what we want to see. Yeah. All the great things about this person. Oh my God, her hair is flowing in this. And for me and my wife, we've been married for 34 years now. Early on, when we were early in our marriage, I said, the way she used her toothpaste and the way I used my toothpaste, I'm like, this ain't gonna work, And so because of that, we understood that now she has her toothpaste on her side, I have my toothpaste on my side, and we're happy campers.
That's it exactly. When we start a relationship, there's an emotional investment that we have in wanting the relationship to work that is going to skew our beliefs that we have about the person. And we are going to we're not dating this person. We're dating the idealized version of who we want this person to be.
Yes.
And then a lot of the growing pains throughout the relationship are based off of, you're not who I thought you were. I made that very clear in a parent. Oh, but I didn't want to see that.
Right.
And are you happy?
Well, because I was looking for what I wanted to see.
Exactly.
And now the relationship has settled down a little bit. Now you're going back into your true personality style. Your beliefs are now showing, and his beliefs are now showing, and his true personality is showing. And you're like, what's going on here? You're not the same guy I was dating 6 weeks ago. So I know, I've seen it and experienced that before.
And that is something that we have to be very, very mindful of, is policing the beliefs that we then have about our spouse. That's something that is so important, because like your spouse, for instance, they say something like, oh, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Or they want a divorce and they're like very staunch in it. They have an affair. They're arguing with you a lot, whatever the thing may be. They do something bad. It's very easy for us to go, you bad.
Okay.
It's very easy for us to then label them as, you're the villain in my story. There is no scenario in which you will fix the relationship if your spouse is the villain.
That's true.
You're going to want to destroy them. That's what we do with villains. We don't kiss and make up.
Right.
So even though you may say, oh, I want to repair things, all of your behavior is then going to be geared towards dominance towards territoriality, towards vindication, not necessarily reparation.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's
we have to
powerful.
be very, very mindful of like what we start believing about our spouse and being very careful to separate the behavior from the personality. Like if it
Yeah.
takes these three variables,
So now you said, I know, okay, that's what I was looking for. You got the personality style, you have the beliefs, and what's the third one?
the emotional state that they're currently in.
Emotional state.
Yeah. So if for instance, if I asked you for help right now with, I don't know, moving my couch or something,
Okay.
and you're in a good mood, sure, let's do that, no problem. If you're stressed and you're tense and you're upset at me and like, you're probably gonna tell me to piss off. So it's not the thing that I asked you to do. It's not about the couch.
Right.
It's your emotional state was either permissive towards that or combative towards that. And we need to be very, very mindful. Like picking the timing for things is so important as a skill set
Right.
to be able to pinpoint what is this person's emotional state and what will this filter for, what will this distort towards when I then communicate with them in a particular way. If your spouse has a lot of resentment towards you, one thing that you will be able to know very quickly is they are going to be in a mismatching state.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If you say left, they'll say right. Why? Because they resent you. It's just the emotional state that they're in.
Yeah.
So being able to understand what is the emotional state that they're in, how is that going to affect their behavior? What are the beliefs that they have about themselves, you, and the relationship? How's that going to affect the relationship? And what is their personality style? What are the things that they are going to look for? What are the values that they have? And being able to understand that, then you're able to cater the relationship towards that, to communicate towards that personality style. Put all these three things together, and it doesn't matter what they're doing now, because you're able to influence it so long as you know specifically what those three variables are.
Right. Now, so that's a powerful formula. That means that what it boils down to then, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that simply understanding that person's model of the world and willing to either, yes, this is for me, or decide, no, this is not for me, or this is the deal breaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because the bottom line is that we all come to a relationship with baggage, and we all come with our own beliefs, our personal style, our beliefs, and our emotional states. And so, like, one of the ways that I've been able to stay with my wife for 34 years is that I understand this, and she understands when I need to go in my corner. Just, okay, let him be. I understand that, okay, she's in her corner today, let her be. If I say something and I notice that her emotional state is not quite there, I'm like, okay, let me just pull back and just leave her alone for a minute to make sure she kind of cools off. So now we have these three personalities types. I mean, this formula, how variables, right? Now, how does it work? How will it actually work in a real life situation?
So the one that is fixed, that you just need to like really observe that once, is the personality, because once you got that one down, you're good. A big mistake here is that people will tend to look at the behavior to determine the personality, and that's a big no-no, because the behavior is influenced by the emotions and the beliefs as well. So you can't accurately, it's kind of like saying, you want to assert the value of personality X, and emotions is 2, the beliefs is 3, and then the output, the behavior response is a 7. So what do we have? This is a formula now. You can't say that personality is 7. That makes no sense, because it was influenced by the 2 and the 3 from the emotion and belief. So 7 minus 2 minus 3 equals 2. So the personality was, in this very simple fictitious example, we can just, to assign a numerical value to this, we can see that the personality was the thing that we are left with when the behavior gets the beliefs and the emotions extracted from it. It's whatever is left behind.
Wow. What I'm hearing from you now, I know you said at the beginning that you use math in this, but when you use math in this, you literally apply a mathematical figure to each one of these?
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying. I think the audience would love to know that too. Is that so? Like you will apply a numerical number to my personality style,
Yeah.
a numerical number to my beliefs, and to my emotional state to determine where we are in the equation.
Exactly. I don't necessarily recommend people, this is not how I teach it to clients, for instance, because people have, generally speaking, an allergy to math. So
Yeah,
I
I'm just
translate,
right.
but this
So
is
how
how
would you
I do it
translate it? So
internally.
how would you translate it then?
So the exact same process is going to be true. So the exact same equation, the way that the math is going to work is going to be the same thing. But for instance, let's say, oh, my spouse is really, really stubborn. That's not your spouse's personality. That's your spouse's behavior. Anything that you can observe is the behavior. And so
Okay.
from this, what was the emotional state? Well, they were kind of upset. That
Okay.
is going to make them more stubborn, so you can't say that they were stubborn because the emotional state is going to affect that.
Okay.
But let's say, no, they weren't upset. They were very happy. It was a very, like, they were very calm. Okay, what are the beliefs that they have about you, themselves, and the relationship? Because if they believe that you are manipulative, then they are going to be stubborn. They don't
Mm.
know what you're doing. They don't know what you're trying, but they expect it to be bad. And so they're going to dig their heels in, and they're going to resist whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever you try, simply because they're assuming that you're a manipulative person. So we can't say that they are a stubborn person if the emotional state would make them stubborn, or if the beliefs that they have about you, for instance, would make them stubborn. If they don't have any negative beliefs about you, and they don't have any emotional state right now that would make them more stubborn, and they are still stubborn, now that's
Right.
a personality trait.
So okay. So now we know that's a personality trait. So now I decide, okay, is this somebody I want to be with, or cannot? I can't handle this personality trait. I can't deal with that. So I mean, this is very interesting. So I mean, because now I'm like, okay, you're applying this. So now you're in this session with. Don't know, you do couple sessions or just one off, or how you do that?
I only work with the one individual. That's
Okay.
I don't like the mediating thing. I don't think it's productive at all. I just
Okay.
teach the one person how can you make the relationship work with both people by getting you to
Right.
understand yourself and your spouse.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do too in my coaching. I don't do marriage counseling. Basically, I feel like if I can help you garner all the resources for you and make you the best version of yourself, you then can influence that person and now know how to work with that person on a one-on-one basis. And usually that works pretty well. They either
Yeah.
make a decision, okay, yeah, this is something I can work with, or this is something I choose not to. So yeah, I like that approach. So now, what would you say is the downside to this then, or is there a downside
Downside of
of the formula, or using the formula, or using this as a math equation?
no, I don't think that there's a downside to it at all because the one thing that we tend to lack any sort of understanding about relationships and we are expected to be great at it. We're expected to be mastered. You want to be married for 30, 40, 50 years and you've never taken any kind of class on the
Right.
subject. Not very realistic, but this is the expectation that we go into. And there's this thing that this fallacy, I'll call it, that, for instance, love is this magical thing, the stars align, and then suddenly because of that you fall in love. And it's a very romantic notion. I get that. And I understand that someone may not want to learn math in the sense of like learning how to have control over the direction of the relationship
Right.
because it feels like it's an artificial thing. Well, here's the thing, your business is going to be successful because you learn the math of it. Your health, it's all numbers anyway. You get tested for all sorts
Right.
of it's all levels, it's all tests of numbers. So if you don't understand the same metrics, then all you're doing is you're just banking on luck for your relationship. You're proficient in everything else in your life, but on your marriage, oh yeah, I'll just roll the dice, it's fine. It's not a great plan.
Yes, that's true though. But I guess that's interesting that you were bringing that up, because for some reason or other people feel like that once you get married, it's just going to work, or you don't ever have to work on it. As I shared with you earlier, me and my wife been together for 34 years. Has it just been smooth sailing? Like, wow, no. Every day, literally almost every day, we have to work on it, and then we have to come together. I remember not too long ago, I took another class or took another test, and like, wow, I didn't even know this about myself, how I was showing up. So I had to make some adjustments personally to make sure that we continue to work, move forward. But it's not a one-time thing; it's a continuation. In my opinion, it's a life or coaching or self-coaching or self-adjustments is a continuation. Is that what you find in your practice too?
Yeah, the dynamics of the relationship. First and foremost, we're going to go through stages in the relationship. And, the most obvious one is the honeymoon when everything starts. That's a very clear stage in which, honestly, everything's easy. Chemistry picks up the slack. You
Right.
suck at relationships, doesn't matter, chemistry's got you. You don't know how to communicate, doesn't matter, chemistry's got you. But then at some point, that fades. And if that was all you had going for you,
Right.
then you're in big trouble. So then we start going into like additional relationship stages in which we start becoming more and more committed, and then we start cohabitating, and then suddenly we have a problem. We're not just boyfriend and girlfriend, now we're also roommates, and we have to
Right.
navigate the transition of roles. And suddenly you realize, man, she sheds a lot of hair. And you start noticing like all of these you start noticing like all of these things that you didn't before because it's a new facet of this person that you didn't before. And you don't
Right.
go on the first date asking how much hair do you shed. It's not something that is going to ever come up in the courtship stage. So being able to adjust transition is very, very key and important. And this is why I have such an emphasis on like understanding the parameters, understanding the variables. Is if you know what the variables are, then you know how to adjust for them as the
Right.
relationship transitions from stage to stage to stage. So that you just have to go back. Oh, I guess this changed. The change was on this variable. I just need to fix this. Boom, we're back on we're back smooth sailing. And this is not something that is intuitive to people at all because we tend to react emotionally to stuff, and
Right.
math is not emotional. Like the whole
Right.
purpose of math is the complete removal of emotion so that we can observe fact, so that we can observe truth. And
Yeah.
based off of that, you're able to do really cool stuff. There's an experiment that I really like, and it's a very simple one. It's the one with the pendulum. So you have a particular weight with a string attached to something, let's call it on the ceiling, and you hold it just in front of your face and you drop. And it's going to swing and it's going to swing back. And here's the thing, your instinct is going to tell you, move away. That thing's going to hit you in the face. No, it's not. Because math. It cannot gain more momentum than the one that it started with. So it cannot ever go back further than the height that you dropped it. So even if you dropped it like right from here, it was touching your nose, you can drop it, you're safe. So long as of course nothing touches it, like no one slaps the pendulum
Right.
to come back harder, like you're fine. But your instinct is still going to be, that thing's going to
Right.
hit. No, it's not. Your emotions are going to lie to you pretty much all the time. They're terrible that way. And being able to distinguish what is an emotion, what is fact, what is like cold hard truth, so that you're basing your relationship on the truth, on the facts, on the logic, the math, the equation, instead of I feel bad, or I think that my spouse is mean, or my spouse is so stubborn. These are all emotional reactions. Your spouse says I love you but I'm not in love with you. An emotional reaction. And if you don't know the truth that is underpinning the mathematical structure and underpinning everything, then you can't change it. You're just going to be reactive, and you're going to dodge out of the way of something that was never going to hurt you in the first place.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. So, look, tell the audience how can they get in touch with you, man? I'm telling you, there's so many relationships out there that need your help, and people need your help, and the world needs your help. And I love the framework in which you work from. So, kind of share with the world how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, for sure. You can get our book for free currently on our website, and that's saveyourmarriagealone.com. So saveyourmarriagealone.com, and you can get our free ebook, and you can you can subscribe to our newsletter. If you want to buy our book instead, like a physical copy, you can do that on Amazon, but at that point you have to pay money for the printing. The Facebook page is another place that you can find us, and that's the Science of Connection Global Group on Facebook, and we do weekly trainings on there as well.
Wow, fantastic, man! I really appreciate you. So, what last nugget can you leave us for even me for this for a guy who's been married 34 years now? What coming March in a couple of days, March 29th. What nugget can you leave with us, man?
I would say never ever stop introspecting, because self awareness is the most valuable tool that you have in the relationship. The understanding your spouse is very key, very important for sure, but we underestimate how important it is to understand ourselves, because the thing that we tend to forget is that your wife has been living with you for 34 years. If you don't understand yourself, you don't understand what she's been going through. You don't understand what she's been putting up with. So it's very important that we're aware of, like, what are our faults? What are the things that we are lacking? What are the things that, bad habits that we have that are going to affect the other person? And no, they are not always going to tell you. Even though sometimes it feels like they complain about everything, there's a lot of things that they haven't told you. And that's a mercy of theirs. But there are things that they are going to be experiencing, maybe things that they consciously haven't even picked up on, and that's why they haven't told you about them. But there's going to be habits that you have. And it could be like a communication thing. It could be like an insecurity that you have. It could be like a trauma response, even that you get triggered about something and then you respond in a particular way. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be carrying into the relationship that are going to affect the relationship, and that you won't know where it's coming from. You will feel like, oh my God, this came out of the blue. It
Right.
didn't. But you didn't know yourself well enough to see where this was coming from for your spouse.
Wow. I mean, and I'm totally agreement with you. I told you, for me, about a year or so ago, I took a relationship test which tested me and found out, wow, I didn't really know who I was as an individual, as a man, or I had changed over the years, and I made those adjustments which made the difference in my relationship. So Andre, man, thank you so much, man, for sharing with the audience your knowledge and your ability to do what you do. So, and that tells us too is that regardless of what is happening in your life, you can turn that, what they consider as a handicap, into a superpower, and that's what you did. You turned it into a superpower, and man, I'm telling you, you awesome. Not awesome, you are awesome, and I would appreciate that, man. And I
Thank
also
you.
like to thank the audience today for listening in. And if this show resonates with you and you need some help with your relationship, this is the relationship specialist. That's what he does. I mean, this is what he do every day, every day. Look at the links below, click on it, go to his Facebook page, or go to, I think you're on LinkedIn too. You're not on LinkedIn, are you?
No, not on LinkedIn.
No, not on LinkedIn. So go to Facebook. He told you Facebook. All his links are going to be below. So please go check him out. Definitely, if you're having some relationship problems, just this is where you need to go. He is an expert in that particular area. And guys, remember that true success comes from when you embrace the legit mindset. That's kind of keep learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. So that's how you keep your relationship and yourself intact, by learning, growing, expanding, and transforming every day. If this episode resonates with you and you're ready for a personal breakthrough, you have some challenges with yourself, some blind spots that's holding you back, please use the link below to schedule a free clarity call with me. Let's unlock your full potential. Once again, guys, I'm Curtis McCullum. Make it a great day. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the show.